Howdy y'all, welcome to another episode of Jed I TV. One of the things as a black powder shooter that we have to go through is cleaning our guns at the end of a match. So I thought I would bring this quick guide to you that's my routine for cleaning guns, and hopefully it provides you with some tips on how to make it easier for you to clean your firearms out on the range. So I've got my guns laid out on a towel. You can pick just about any location. Sometimes if you have an RV, it makes it a little bit easier. We're just doing this off the cuff at a 2-day match. So first and foremost, what you need is some sort of liquid. Now some folks use Windex, some folks use water and rubbing alcohol and Ballistol. There's all sorts of different formulas out there. Find whatever works for you. The key is going to be moisture. What I use is about a 50-50 mix of Ballistol oil and water. That's it. What you want to do is you want to make sure to spray your barrels. 3 or 4 pumps in each barrel. Shotgun's pretty basic. 3 or 4 pumps into your rifle. Same with your pistols. Maybe hit your cylinders. And then set her to the side. Let them soak for a while. Okay, you can let them soak while you go to lunch, whatever you want to do. The longer they set, the easier they are to clean. That's been my experience. As long as they're wet. Once they get dry, you have all sorts of problems with fouling buildup, and you'll just create a nightmare. So keep them wet. You can keep them wet overnight, and they'll still be okay to clean. Some of the other tools I use, toothbrush, different styles of toothbrush. For cleaning your 1851 Navy, you're going to need a small screwdriver, a wedge pin puller to tap the wedge pin out, and I use a small little brass hammer. That's going to get your 1851 Navies clean. Now when you put them back together, we'll be using some boar butter, any sort of a thick paste-like lubricant for the 1851 Navies. That's my secret to keeping them running throughout a match. And then at the end, I like to put a little squirt of straight Ballistol down the barrel just to keep them coated that way. I do that with my pistols and my long guns. For cleaning the 1866 Yellowboy, again, you're going to use your Ballistol. I like some Wright's brass polish to polish up all of the brass. Okay, same with the 51 Navies for polishing the brass. The Wright's brass polish is the one that I've had the most luck with. Of course, you'll need some rags and bore snakes in each individual caliber. So that's the basics. We're going to let them soak. We're going to head off to lunch. We're going to come back here. I'll show you all how to clean them. Stay tuned.
2 hours later.
So we've let our long guns and our revolvers soak while we went off to lunch in our Ballistol water mix. Now I'm going to show you all how to field clean your individual guns. We're going to start with the cleaning of your double barrel shotgun after 6 stages of black powder shooting. So again, it's been soaking. It should be pretty simple to clean. Pull off our forearm. We have our barrel. If you have an RV with a hose, I just put it right down both barrels, let them run out. But like I said, we've had these soaking, so it should be a real simple pull with our bore snake to get through these. Now, what we should pull out of here is a nice string of plastic that looks like snake skin once we pull it out. Sometimes if it's soaked long enough, we'll get it all just in one pull. And there it is right there. So that's all of our plastic from our wads that we shot during the match. So we'll make sure to dispose of that someplace, not just leave it laying out on the range. Folks don't like that too much. So now, all went well. Oh, we should have a nice shiny barrel like a mirror. We didn't let this one soak long enough, so I do have a little spot there that might take a little scrubbing. Like I say, normally if you spray them soon enough and you leave them sit for a long enough time, you can just pull it with one quick pull of the bore snake and it'll be clean. So now we've pulled through both barrels with our bore snake. We still have a little spot in each. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give it a quick wipe down, spray it again, and let it soak while we clean the rest of our guns. There's no sense in overworking it here. The key is to just let them soak, okay? So we're going to wipe it all down, snap it back together, and we'll do a couple of squirts like that, and we're just going to leave it to set and soak while we work on the other guns. Next up on our list of guns to clean out here in the field is the 1866 Yellowboy rifle. This can be a chore, but we're going to polish it up. Again, this is just field cleaning. We're not going to take the internals out and clean them. It's just a 2-day match, so we're going to clean it and shoot it again tomorrow. So it's just a real quick cleaning, and I'll show you all how to go through that. First things first, of course, we know we are dealing with empty guns. We've had them checked. You want to double check, triple check when you're cleaning. Again, the magic of a bore snake. Down the bore, one pull. We've let it soak for a while. So one pull with the bore snake should have us a nice, shiny barrel. We'll grab our bore light and check that. One moment.
A few minutes later.
Back with another key piece here, our bore light, so that we can see what's going on down there. Clean, no signs of fouling, nice and shiny. See all the rifling in there. Now it's just a matter of polishing everything up for use tomorrow so that it's shiny and functions well. Because if you have too much fouling on your carrier there, then it will stick and you'll have trouble the next day at a match. So we want to make sure that we polish all this out. Again, we're not going to disassemble, completely clean the carrier and completely clean the inside of the frame. We're just going to do a quick field cleaning. So, Wright's brass polish. We apply a liberal amount of Wright's brass polish onto a rag. So once the exterior is all wiped down real well, so you have a nice shiny Yellowboy again to start tomorrow's match. Shine up all that brass. Make sure we haven't missed any spots. Now, we want to get to the carrier and inside the frame here where the carrier runs up and down as best as we can without having to disassemble the firearm in the field, okay? Which is not difficult, but let's face it, there's parties going on, there's foods going on, there's folks to be visiting with at a Cowboy Action shooting match. So the last thing you want to be doing is completely tearing apart a gun on a Saturday evening and putting it back together. We're just going for function tomorrow. Clean enough to function the next day. So, we'll polish this up a bit. Polishing on the carrier and inside where the carrier runs inside the frame. Top of the carrier. Again, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to polish it up. And we'll bring you a full episode on disassembly and cleaning of an 1866 at a later date. polishing everything we can get to while we're out in the field. All right, push the carrier down, clean the walls of the frame where the carrier is going to run. All right, now fresh rag to wipe it all down. Make sure you get a good polish on it. And like I say, want to make sure it's real good for shooting tomorrow. All right, so you got a little brass bead on your sight. Let's not neglect that. That's going to be an important piece for tomorrow. So we'll put a little polish on that, scrub it up good, and go back after it with our fresh rag. Oh, get that nice and shiny. That'll pop against those targets in the morning. All right, so she's shined up, she's cleaned inside. Good enough to get us through the match. The barrel's been cleaned on the inside. One last little piece. I like to take a little of the Blistol spray. Spray it inside, let it coat that barrel real good. You have a 1866 Yellowboy ready to shoot at tomorrow's match. So we can set that to the side. Okay, how to field clean your 1851 Navy revolvers. Tools you're going to need: small screwdriver, something to tap your wedge pin out, something to tap the tapper of your wedge pin. Right, brass polish for polishing up all of your brass, a little Blistol for when we're done. We started by spraying the inside of the barrel with a Blistol water mix. We've let it soak while we've gone to lunch. Now it's time to disassemble. Okay. Loosen the screws, hold your wedge pin in place. Tap your wedge pin out. Pull your barrel and your cylinder. Spray this section of the gun well. Set it to the side for a moment. Spray all of your cylinder. Make sure that's nice and wet. Let it soak for a while. Get after this section with a couple of rags here. Bore snakes, I love them for cleaning out in the field. Make the job really simple. Just pull the bore snake through. Oh yes. You have a nice, shiny barrel all ready for shooting tomorrow. Same with your cylinder. Just going to pull it through the center, pull it through all of the rest of your cylinder holes. Alright, we've gone through all of those, so we're going to just get after this thing, get it all cleaned up, get all that black powder fouling out of there. That's nice and clean. We can set that to the side with our barrel. Get after the main frame here. Again, we're going to wipe everything down. Again, like I said in the rifle and shotgun cleaning videos, this is just field cleaning. So we're not completely disassembling the revolver and cleaning all of the internals. We are just getting it clean enough that we don't have any problems with it for the match tomorrow. Like I've said before, for polishing brass, I prefer Wright's brass polish. Some folks want to use the Brasso. There's a couple other products out there, and that's fine. Whatever works for you. Like I say, Wright's, to me, best product I found. Less offensive smell than the Brasso. You just want to make sure that you got some handsome guns for the Sunday match, for the second day of the 2-day match. Typically that's Sunday. I'm just going to polish everything up, get rid of all that black powder fouling. Go after it with a fresh towel, finishing the polishing here. All right, so there you have it. We got our frame cleaned. We've got our, basically what amounts to our cylinder pin cleaned. We're gonna assemble the revolver. The key with the 1851 Navy is some sort of lubricant or lithium grease, some kind of a thick grease to put on this cylinder pin. What I like to use is boar butter. I've been using boar butter on the 1851 Navy for about 15 years. It's never failed me. When you put this on the cylinder pin or you go to shoot a match the next morning, if it's cold, you want to spin that cylinder a couple times because it gets pretty thick. But I put on a liberal amount of boar butter all around this pin. Nice coating of boar butter all the way around it. Now I take off this excess at the front. All right, so just all of the grooves are filled in there. Save that excess though. Put your cylinder back in, rotate it, and I like to take this and just put it all around there. Keep all of that nice and lubed up where it's rubbing on your barrel, where the barrel comes together to keep the fouling from going in it. Put your barrel back on. We better clean off our wedge pin here. Screw out of the way, and then tap your wedge pin back in place. Just like so. Have a fresh rag, just make sure everything's wiped down good. And I like to just make sure all the screws are tightened. I'm using a pretty hot black powder load. Sometimes it loosens up all these screws. So I just go through and just make sure everything's snug, nothing's come loose. That one was a little loose. Keep all these nice and tight. Everything looks really good. We only had one that was slightly loose after 6 stages today. All right. So there you have it. Cleaned and polished. Determine whether it's your right gun or left gun. This is my right gun. It's not easy cleaning 1851 Navy revolver. Again, we'll go through it, fast forward on this one. On the 1851 Navy, one thing that you want to make sure of is that there's no fouling inside of this groove here, or where the firing pin goes through the frame, because if there's any sort of fouling that prevents that firing pin from reaching the primer, you'll have a failure to fire. It won't hit the primer and set it off. So you definitely want to make sure that that section is nice and clean. Wipe it down, and of course, with a little bit of your Wright's brass polish, make sure you get that little tiny sight in case you get an opportunity to use it. Depends on the speed at which you're shooting, whether you can use that or not. Again, we're going to determine whether that's our right or left gun, and we'll polish up the sight on this one, again, just in case we get the opportunity to use it. And that is the field guide for cleaning the 1851 Navy revolver. So we had a little trouble earlier with the shotgun. We let it set too long without any moisture in it, and we had some fouling. It was mostly the plastic from your wads will melt inside of the barrel, and it creates quite a mess in there when you're shooting black powder. Again, if you keep these things wet and let them soak for any amount of time, or for long enough, I should say, then you can just pull all of that fouling and that melted black powder, that melted plastic wad, you'll be able to pull that out in one quick pull with your bore snake. That wasn't the case with us out here today, but we've let it set a little longer, and hopefully it's long enough that we can get the last two little spots cleaned out so that we can go get ready for dinner party this evening and whatnot. So we'll grab our bore snake, pull it through, and see where we're at. So we have our bore snake now. We're going to pull that through, see if we can't get those stubborn spots. Oh, I saw a big chunk come out there, so we might be good. Oh yeah, like a mirror in there. That's beautiful. We'll get this other barrel. So again, that's from letting it soak with our 50-50 Ballistol water mix. Again, in my opinion, it probably could have been straight water. Some folks swear by Windex. Some folks swear by Windex with vinegar in it. There's all sorts of concoctions for us crazy black powder shooters. Moisture, moisture, moisture is the key. And that barrel's clean. So both of them are shiny like a mirror. We just want to polish everything up, making sure to hit our sights with a little bit of Wright's brass polish. In case you have those poppers and you need a sight on it, you can get your bead right on there, because with a little bit of this polish, pop right out. Beautiful. One of my favorite shotguns for cowboy action shooting, the SKB 200E. The E being for engraved, which if you get after that engraving with the Wright's brass polish, it looks really nice too. But again, we are just doing field cleaning. So we're just really going for the basics out here. We do want it to look good, match the rest of our shiny gear. All right, we can put this back together now. We better get in here a little bit. I see some goop that we had left. Q-tips, that's what we forgot for field cleaning. I always use Q-tips at home to get inside of these spaces here to get those nice and clean. I think we'll be all right in just a 2-day match. But if you end up with like a little BB or something in there, little piece of lead that gets smashed in there, it won't cock properly and you'll have one barrel that doesn't go off. I had that happen to me. But we're looking pretty good. Get that assembled. Get that snap back on. Go after all of our externals with a clean rag. Look good. All right. Shotgun clean. That is the basics on how to clean your 12 gauge or any caliber coach gun on the range. Moisture in the barrel, make sure you keep them wet, let them soak for a while, grab your bore snake, pull it through, shines like a mirror, looks good. That's ready to go for tomorrow. Our rifle's ready to go for tomorrow. Pistols are ready to go for tomorrow. That's it for this episode of Jed I TV. Make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube. Check us out on all the other social media sites. We're on LO, we're on Instagram, we're on Twitter. We're all over the place. Just search Jedi Gunfighter or Jed I TV and you'll find us. If you like what we're doing, make sure to give us a thumbs up. Share this video with your friends who are taking up cowboy action shooting. Maybe they want to be a crazy black powder shooter and they need to know how to clean them. If you have any pointers, anything else that you would like to see, anything that I missed on cleaning these guns, make sure to leave a comment in the comment section below. I read them all. Until next time, I'll see you folks on the range.